Hi, I'm Brent Knowles. I'm here today with Matt Kenney of RSM's technology practice. Matt is a principal with the group. Yesterday we had the first announcements from the Oracle NetSuite camp on any post-acquisition commentary and things that are going to be going forward. So I really wanted to bring Matt in here to be able to ask some questions about kind of his thoughts on what he heard on that webcast from Mark Hurd as well as and some of the others from the NetSuite camp, and really what that means to RSM's customer base, in the middle market and what that means. So, Matt, glad to have you here. I'd like to just start out by asking a little bit about the structure. This was one thing that we were wondering about, which was how is NetSuite going to operate within Oracle. So tell me a little bit about the structure they have set up and who's going to be running that.
Yeah, well, I think what we found out is it's going to be a lot of business as usual. So the folks we're familiar with are retaining their roles. Zach Nelson has been CEO. He's going to become part of the Oracle organization and really be a cloud evangelist, which is really what he's been doing at NetSuite with Jim McGeever running operations. Jim McGeever will take lead of the NetSuite Global Business Unit within Oracle. And Evan will continue to lead development. So really the people we're familiar with driving the strategy are the people who will continue to drive the strategy forward. And it's comforting to me at least that NetSuite will be a business unit within the Oracle organization. So I think its strategies, systems, tools remain intact, and so probably not nearly as much changing as would with some of Oracle's previous acquisitions.
Okay, great. I think that's probably comforting, right, to a lot of NetSuite customers. And I know I felt somewhat of a Sweet World feel to that announcement yesterday, but it was nice to see some of the Oracle, some of muscle coming in a little bit to kind of help them out. There was one thing I think that was on a lot of NetSuite customers' minds during this whole process of the announcement that Oracle was going to buy NetSuite all the way up until the transaction took place, and it was pricing. I think a lot of NetSuite customers didn't choose Oracle in the first place because it was too expensive, and they were at this big, massive organization. NetSuite was the nimble, flexible choice for a startup or mid-market company, and this kind of acquisition is a fear like, oh, my prices are going to go up. So maybe talk a little bit about some of the things that Mark spoke about on this call, and maybe at least the outlook that we have going forward on the pricing structure.
Yeah, I think even before we get to pricing, one of the things we want to acknowledge is Mark Hurd reiterated the statement that he made in the initial press release on the acquisition, which is NetSuite's not going away, right? So that's the first thing is, are they going to just consume my product, or are they just buying it for the base? They clearly bought it for the organization, the product, as well as the customer base. So he reiterated NetSuite is going to remain a product in the marketplace forever. So the product stays. And then he did get challenged by a member of the audience on the pricing and where that's going. And he said really there's no immediate changes to immediate plans to change the pricing. And I think that's really supported by some of the other points they made during the discussion. I felt they did a good job really in just the title of the webcast talking about now they can support anywhere from a startup to an enterprise and everything in between. And so I think there's some understanding at Oracle that NetSuite is a fit for small and mid-sized businesses, and they understand that it's not another PeopleSoft, another JD Edwards, or an Oracle business, right? It's designed for a different type of customer and should be priced at a different price point. So, I'm not anticipating a lot of changes there.
Great. Maybe you can talk a little bit about what's going to happen with the product. Evan got up, and I think customers are going to be happy that Evan's continuing to lead that product and the initiatives there. But now they have the scalability of Oracle behind them. They spoke about the enhanced data centers, the number of offices, some of the things there. But Evan lined out some strategic initiatives that they're going to focus on, at least right out of the gate. Maybe you can talk a little bit about some of the things that Evan spoke about and kind of what you think is relevant kind of to these NetSuite customers today and how that's going to help them going forward.
Yeah, I think certainly there's more investment dollars, there's more R&D to go into the product, and Evan laid out some specific areas. So, some of this sounded very much like things we heard in Suite World before. So more focus on the areas they were already focusing on, omni-channel, the platform itself, complex billing scenarios, and then One World. But where we're going to see even deeper effort, I think, is sort of extending One World to talk about localization, and I think that's really where we're going to see some advantages from Oracle, because it's not just a matter of throwing more developers at it or having resource dollars. They gain access to the domain expertise, right? Developers at Oracle that have already figured out how you make software work and be compliant in the Brazilian market, in the Mexican market, in different European markets. So they're not starting from scratch, just throwing hours and bodies at this. They're actually bringing some knowledge to the process, which is going to make that go even faster. So I think that's great news. Most of our clients are here in the U.S., but a great number of them have global operations, and so they're concerned about their subsidiaries in other countries and how they can automate some of the processes that might be manual now. So we look forward to some improvements in the product in terms of global compliance.
This is kind of in line with what RSM did a year ago, which was rebrand the name, right? And this effort to go global and to scale and really to serve clients on this international global size. So I guess I'm wondering, from a mid-market standpoint, how does RSM really take advantage and align itself with where Oracle and NetSuite is going?
Yeah, good question. I think one, we just have to understand where they're going and how fast they're getting there. So I think we'll see great improvements in the product in terms of global capabilities, and really, it's a very strong offering right now with the multi-language, multi-currency, the consolidation of subsidiaries into headquarters. But there's still work to do, and part of it is just understanding what we can do and what we can't do, and how far we can push NetSuite in the global enterprise. But part of it is taking advantage of RSM's global capabilities. So around the globe, our network firms are developing their NetSuite capabilities. So it's no longer a matter of us serving clients from the US or doing remote implementations or flying people over to do training. We've got a strong team in the UK. We have other resources around Europe and Asia that we can bring to bear on NetSuite projects.
Great. Well, thanks, Matt. I appreciate your time today. It's always good to get perspective on kind of these moves and acquisitions that's happening. Any questions, feel free to visit us at our website, www.rsmus.com/NetSuite. We'll have that link for you in the comments section of the video as well, so you can reach us if you need to. Thanks.
Thanks, Brian.